The topic here is how to improve the writing skills. So, how actually, whether reading or writing or hearing or listening or talking, all these are skills only related to language. So, the four skills are LSRW: listening, speaking, reading, writing. So, as you listen, so you speak. As you read, so you write. And we cannot cut this chain. We cannot break this chain. From our early childhood, we'll be listening to our parents or our neighborhood talking. And what language we listen, that language only we speak outside. So, if suppose we happen to hear a filthy language or unparliamentary language, what we say, then even in the outside world also our ears, they go on listening to that words and that language, that we cannot escape from bringing it out. So that is why what they say is that compulsorily one must hear a good words, good language, nice thoughtful words, so that when we speak we will inculcate them in our daily life. And in the same way, how can we write, how can we develop the writing skills? So actually in schools what they do is they right from the beginning they just make the children by heart the grammar points, the definitions and all this. But simply by definitions, by learning by hearting the definitions, nobody can get the grip over the language. So that is only that means a written part. Suppose if a question is given for them to define the parts of speech or what is what is a phrase like that, they will be able to write and it will be useful to score marks as per the marks awarded for that. But here to write, one must read. So that is why LS, listen, speak. Next one, third one is read. And then, so write follows. If we read, we can write. So now what is the difference between reading the question answers or lessons and reading other books? So let us elucidate this point. How we can get the writing skills. So here actually when we read the question answers, again that is related to the examination point. We just by heart it. We just by heart and then we reproduce the same in the examination for us to get marks. So that's what happens while reading in school. But suppose if we happen to read other books, like some novels or autobiographies or biographies or of great personalities like Swami Vivekananda or any others, then what happens? We will be knowing different thoughts from reading such books, and our mind starts thinking. When we read only the class books that may really pertain to the answers, only the answers we by heart and we reproduce in the examinations. But suppose we read other than the class books. So that is why in olden days, even now also there is a library period. In the library period, there will be we can go to the library and read books which are not related to the classroom. They develop our inner mind. So once we read some good books, then what happens? Our mind starts thinking. So what is in the book, how the writer he used the words, and what is the message of that. So how can that message be what's this interpreted, so like that. And then we will come out of our own idea on the topic. So here once in a classroom, a professor he showed one picture of an animal to the students, and then he asked the students to write what they think describe the animal. So really there were nearly about 40 students in the class, and all the 40 students they wrote differently, because the animal that they saw is not in their books. It is on the screen they saw, and they were given just about 3 minutes time to write a few sentences on the animal what they saw. So what they could, each one wrote differently. So each one have their own ideas. Here by this, what the professor said is that each of the individual have their own ideas and their own ways of interpretation, their own ways of analysis, their own ways of thinking capacities. So here, when we happen to read certain books, our mind starts flowing like a mercury and thinks on various topics related to the particular aspect what is in the book. And that is why a number of books have come into existence. So this is writing skills. So how we can get the writing skills is not by hearting an answer. It is by reading elaborately books other than what are to be done in the classrooms, because there will be huge vocabulary in that, and the vocabulary we can use it. If a new word comes, then we will try to know the meaning of the new word, and then we'll use it in our daily life while communicating orally or in written language. So here of late, what happened? This reading, why now the skills, writing skills are not there, is because there is no creativity. So when you can write something, when you can write on something more elaborately, when you can create yourself. So that means if you see something, if you have an idea on something, if you interpret and if you analyze, you recreate something which is not there till then in the world. So it means we are recreating. So what is in the world is already there. Now what we are doing by recreating? So we are creating, and it means we are recreating something which is not there in the world till then. So by doing that, what happens? A new idea, a new thought will enter into the minds of the readers. So here, how we can get the creativity again? By reading books, by understanding them. So here actually there is one saying that some books are to be read, some books are to be chewed, some books are to be digested, some books are to be swallowed, like that. So here if some books are just read, like fairy tales or something, we don't get any creativity from that. That means we don't get any new ideas. We just read for fascination or for time pass or for fun. But if we happen to read any other different type of book, like suppose My Eternal India. My Eternal India is one book written by Swami Vivekananda. It's a very profound book. So why he called the book Eternal? Immediately a thought comes in our mind, arises in our mind. Why this my eternal India? Why the Swamiji he called India as eternal? Then we go into the deep. We go deep into the horizon or the origin of India. Then we'll understand how it has its culture spread in all parts of the world and why it is called the oldest mother. From where from the Vedas have come, where from the Upanishads have come, where on which land did the Lord proclaim that he is God himself, and in which land did man realize that he and there is no difference between God and man. So all these we think of so many things, and a number of thoughts arise in us. When such thoughts arise in us, what we do automatically we again think more and more. We probe into that, so much so that we get new ideas, and with that new ideas we again recreate something, and that something whatever we do, that is the writing skill. The writing skill is nothing but the creation of something which is not there in the world till then, and that we present it to the world. In fact, so here let us take an example. Suppose Bhagavad Gita is there. The Bhagavad Gita is actually only one single book. It's a celestial song sung by the Lord Himself in the Kurukshetra battlefield. Everyone knows that, with the Pandavas and Kauravas on one side. So on both sides, right? But here, how many great personalities have wrote and rewrote or had written and rewritten this book? Number of times. Number of times. There are so many great personalities who have intervened, who have interpreted their own ideas and their own way of thinking, and how this Bhagavad Gita just is a sloka form, how the meaning can be elaborated. So that's why then there is another book called Gita Makarandam. So why this Bhagavad Gita is called the Makarandam? Makarandam is nothing but nectar. So why Bhagavad Gita is called the nectar? So like this, so many thoughts. So many great personalities. They wrote numerous books as they viewed the ideology of the book, and they brought out number of books which were not there in the world till then. So now one Bhagavad Gita has spread its wings throughout the world, and I think even now the researchers are being done on the book. So maybe in near future we'll get some more books on Bhagavad Gita. So like that, if we want the writing skills to be developed, first we have to adopt reading. Reading is a very good habit. Unless we read, we cannot write. Unless we read, we cannot develop the writing skills.